Professional. 3, 2, 1, contact. Okay. So here we are, first day of testing new equipment. Me and my main man, Navid. And I think so far, for being very unprofessional, it's pretty fucking professional, I must say. We got good equipment. We're going to use the video camera. We got video coming to you. I don't know what this looks like, but we're going to use this to test what I'm looking at and what it looks like from that angle. So that's what we got. We got video for the upload. We've got a soundboard, we got cool mics and headphones, so we're danger close to doing the real thing, which is hopefully in a podcast, the whole bowl with Noodles. You can reference the whole bowl to many things in life. We're gonna try to be all inclusive, talk about everything that affects us and hopefully you, and it entertains everybody. And we're gonna take the angle of what would Noodles do? And hopefully, I'll have cool guests. I already know some cool people that we're going to have on here that are going to talk to us about a wide range of things. Still haven't nailed down who the first one is. We got a good idea. But the intent is to bring to you a new angle on everything we hear about every day. I've listened to podcasts for years and talked, and even before podcasts, I had in depth conversations with. Some real interesting people that led to what's going to be a podcast. So that intent was basically storytelling. I think it gets back to storytelling, and some in those are lessons learned. Like back in the day, natives used to tell stories to get lessons across. So I'd like to tell some stories of my own and include some stories of people that I know and love and care about and whatnot. But the intent is to get out there, and what I think is missing in today's America or society, or what I think I've noticed is a big part of our of what's going on is code, lack of code. How we treat our neighbors, how we treat our brothers, how we treat our sisters, and how we treat people we don't know. I think if we get back to doing that correctly and all those things and what they entail, it sort of through osmosis goes and it bleeds out into everything else that's important. And it begins with relationships and talking and doing that. So hopefully we make a go of it. It's a lot of it's probably going to be conversations I've already had and just bring it to the table so that as opposed to it being a conversation that I have with someone and maybe I share to 5 or 10 people, hopefully I can share it to a bigger audience and that audience can share those lessons. And then also, it's also for us to learn. Someone can kick back some stuff like, hey, Noodles, you're off on this or that, which happens a lot. So, and in talking, I get back to on track and we're going to go, they don't call me Noodles because I'm smart. So we're going to get off track. So we're going to need time, and time is money. So hopefully we're going to waste everybody's time and money with this. But, get back to who's gonna make it up. Right now, it's just gonna be me, and Navid is like you'll hear some about him, but probably he'll fall off because he's that kind of guy. But very important to this because he's the motivation. He's the one that said, "Noodles, go do it." And you know, a lot of people have done that, and Noodles said, "Go do it." But then it gets left at that. Well, we're trying to finish that conversation for all of those who said, "Noodles, go do it." This is that, and this is hopefully going to be the finished product. And I think we all, part of this, and it's on a personal level, goes back to, what do we show our kids and what example do we live? And that's most important to me is, my 3 boys and also the other kids that I call nephews and nieces and all this and that is what do I leave and what do my kids get to say about their dad? Excuse me. And what's important is I'm in a rare situation where I'm a disabled veteran who was retired in 2013. But quite honestly, when I was injured in February 2008, that was the end of me being a soldier. So from 2008 to here we are, 13 years later, I've done nothing but raise boys, and that was. It's funny when I first thought about a podcast, I thought about calling it "Raising Bears" because that's kind of what I think about when I think about Jackson and Holden and Harlan is I'm raising these cubs that are sweet and innocent and something I never knew nothing about until I became a father. But I'm raising these bears now in a world that's becoming more and more wilderness and unknown to me personally. And I don't mean by woods and trees and such like that, but just how people are treating each other and what goes on in the world, and how you can walk down the street or drive down the street today is a lot different than it was when I came up. And maybe some ways it's better, and from what I'm seeing, in some ways it's worse. And I'd like to leave some for my kids to say, okay, this is what my dad did, as opposed to just, oh, this is what someone told me about my father or anything. And of course, it's another sounding board. It's just like anything else. So many vets, 22 veterans a day still kill themselves. Pause for a reason. 22 people kill themselves a day that are veterans that served this country and did this and that. So hopefully this is a sounding board for those guys, because I've been on that road and I've been down that path. So I don't know what it takes to help everybody. I know what it took to help me. I know the importance of those things, and I know it's a real struggle and it's a real fight. And regardless of everything that we've heard about in the last couple years and the things that number hasn't changed. 22 a day from wars fought over years and years and years. The longest war, I was a small part of, you know what I mean? But I can understand the outcome. So hopefully we get to help veterans along the way. That's a big goal of mine, is to help my brothers and sisters. Number one, understand what we've lost and who we lost, and keep them fresh and those lessons learned from losing them to everybody that needs to hear it. And then also the ones that are still struggling, that hopefully they can see some different light, because not all the lights are the same. I promise you. They've been dim, they've been bright, green and white, but they've all been there. It's a light nonetheless. So someone's got to shine a light on somebody that needs it. So hopefully I'm that to some people, because I'm fucking funny. And I'm good looking. So there's that. We got the whole bowl. So we're gonna talk about a lot of things. Hopefully not too much politics, but I'm sure we'll go down that road, because I have a stand and I think about anything. But I mean, I'm politically, I'll say I'm a Republican. I'm registered and all that other stuff. But I also, before all that comes right and wrong. And that's a big part of code. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So, regardless of political affiliation, color of your skin, how you pee, sitting down, standing up, whatever it is you do, right is right and wrong is wrong. And there's been a confusion in that, I think, and a lot of it driven by some media and just people that are given spotlight, that don't realize that their message is heard. So they let stuff come out of their mouth that probably shouldn't have. And you can always say, "Oh, blah blah blah, free speech and this and that." And I'm not a role model. You are a role model. We're all role models. I'm a role model to every kid that I touch. I'm a role model to adults. They're role models to me. I still look at parents, older or younger than me, every day and say, "Man, I like the way they do this or that with their kid. And I need to be able to do this or that with my child." Or how do I accomplish the same result, but in my method? So that being said, that's another thing there's so many avenues we can go down, and there's so many questions, and there's so many life lessons and things I talk about and think about, whether it be at 2 o'clock at night or in the middle of the day when all my friends are working, and everybody I do my day with, is doing their thing. So I sit there and I think, well, this is the way to put it all out there. And hopefully we'll get some feedback that helps us to answer the questions we still have. But hopefully we're answering a lot of questions along the way for ourselves and everybody else. And it's just fun, and it's just going to be cool. And I do a lot of crazy things that I'm going to include everybody in. And hopefully maybe it gives somebody ideas, or it helps to do this and that. This thing is great. But here we are, and I don't even know. I don't even know what the next step is. But we're gonna try to. The intent is bring the show to you, bring as many people as we can into the fold to talk to me. And I definitely talk a different way. Hopefully I'm medicated, overly medicated for some, but some of the conversations I won't be able to, just because that's what it is. And hopefully we'll be on the forefront of those issues too, as opposed to, we got legalizing cannabis coming all over us, and that's my medicine of choice. There's also there's real epidemics going on, not just this pandemic, but we still have to talk about this thing that I think is killing our country more than war and misinformation and everything, and that's heroin in that. So see, sometimes someone's going to pass me notes in the middle of the show, and we're going to learn that this is what's going to take up our time. But time is money, and we're going to make money, so we're going to spend a lot of time out here. Brief on why noodles. Why noodles? Well, that goes back to something. That's a question that hasn't been asked and hasn't been addressed on here and won't be, because it can't be. I mean, like, there's part of my life now, there's gonna be big discussion around, and there might be 1 or 2 people still alive that know what noodles is really means, and there's 3 or 4 that have been told that just get it and won't ever put it out because that's just how it is, and it's to me, it's cool. I will put out who named me and all that stuff and the story behind it, but that's a long damn story, and it's part of my life. So we're gonna take an adventure, and that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about really just filling in people on where I've been, what I've seen, and then that includes the lessons learned. That includes the people I've met. You know what I mean? Really cool people. Some certain people you've never heard of, and some people that I think are pretty famous. And then just the adventures I go on with my family are good. And I'm traveling this journey now. I'm a father. I'm the head soccer dad of life, and so that's important too. And so that's just another journey. I think me sharing what I'm learning and raising my kids with other dads out there is going to help tremendously. Uh, some of the questions that I had that I've answered through experience in hard knocks, I think is probably going to be one of the best things out there. You know what I mean? Because I learned a lot. I learned a lot about youth sports. I learned a lot about parenting as far as when it comes to youth sports and to what lengths parents will go, good and bad, to in their mind ensure success. And then I think that's really the key thing. I kind of pumped the brakes, I guess probably about 12 months ago on Holden, more as you know what I mean. Let him sort of dictate where he's going to go with this. You know what I mean? And if nothing else, I've seen improvement as far as him personally, what he wants to do, and him as far as flaws in his game, noticing those things. You know what I mean? So he'll pull it out. He'll say, "Dad, I need to go run," and stuff like that. So how I got to that point, because I can tell you 2 years ago, I knew exactly what he needed. I knew he needed to run, knew he needed conditioning. So how am I going to get him to do that without being that dad who no one wants to be and I will never be? But how do we get from getting to being that dad the same result? Because you know what I mean. Some people require that dad to get the same result. If the kid's intent, hey dad, if I want to be a good soccer player, so guess what? That's mission number one. Everything else falls in line behind it. You know what I mean? If you have to learn to run faster to be a good soccer player, if you have to learn to talk English better, which is a case, I mean, with something else we can talk about, just to play soccer, that's sort of a life lesson learned from a game our kids are playing. Our kids, when I say our kids and stuff like that, that's another person going to be involved. Molly's going to be a fact checker and overall morale person on this thing as we go forward. Again, we're testing equipment. So if this video ever gets out, it is what it is. It's part of the testing. It don't count. But when I say our, I'm speaking of our kids. I mean, me and Navid when I'm talking, you know what I mean? So, like, our kids have what do you call it, a situation where they're different than other kids in this country and playing sports, youth sports, is we're our kids are learning a different methodology taught by people from a whole different country. And what we've learned over COVID is that people from this country that make the attempt to teach that way can't do it. And that's not a knock, that's not nothing. It just it's something that's grown from years and years and years that just can't be taught in a short amount of time. Uh, the results are evident, the results can be shown, you know what I mean? But I mean, inside of that, our kids are learning to listen to their coach better because some of the kids don't understand them. They have a Spanish accent, you know what I mean? So I know for Jackson, for one, he has to concentrate or he's not hearing them. You know what I mean? If he's not looking them in the eyes, he's not hearing them, regardless of what they're saying or how good their English is. So that's important. Lots of lessons, lots of things to talk about. I think it's just it's good. It's perfect timing. Uh, I sit around the house and do nothing but medicate and think about these things. But I think about a lot of real things. So and it stems from this. And really, it stems from soccer conversations. Me and the other parents mostly as of late, me and Navi just talking about, over the last guess 18 months, 2 years, it's been all politics and can you believe this happened and what are we going to do and what do you think happens this? And then we got the pandemic and is it real? And this is how we're dealing. And we've been through all that together as adults, raising kids, soccer parents, all kinds of things. You as an employee for a company worked through the pandemic, then took another job, left a good high paying job and went out on it. So there's experience in that, there's lessons in that, there's all that stuff that, you know what I mean, that we've gone through, that other people, everybody goes through one way or the other. It doesn't make us special. What's going to make us special is talking about it and getting it out there and letting other people decide on their own, but also give them an option, give them hopefully an example of success. Well, Jason, that sounds good. When you got these badass kids doing this or that, how'd you deal with it? Well, this is how I dealt with it. Well, did I deal with it that way or did I see someone? Prime example, and I'm sure we'll talk about this on the real show. A real important person to me, my squad leader when I was in 82nd Airborne Division. He literally had his kid dig a fighting position. Now, a fighting position, I don't even remember. Someone's going to hurt me. It was 200 and something odd sandbags. The hole is two M16s wide by two Kevlar helmets. So, that width, but so that's basically the shape of this table, but two helmets and then two M16s. So you dig that hole up to your armpits. You know what I mean? Then you take those 200 and some sandbags that you filled up with the dirt you dug up and you build okay, so you build like firing ports. This is it sounds like kid shit, but this is really what you do. So you build the wall and you got these two corners. This is where you fire out. These are your sectors of fire out the corner of this hole. And over top, you got overhead cover, I think 18 inches. You got to have 18 inches to survive a hand grenade. So it's 18 inches of sandbags, which is like 3 sandbags, thick. So all over you, covered in sandbags. So millions of sandbags. But H minus made his kid, anytime he did something wrong, he'd make him go out there and work on this fighting position. And it sounded funny, sounded hilarious, but he actually did it. And caveat is he did it on post, on a military post, and they lived in government housing. You can't do nothing. You can't, can't tie your dog out. You can't do stupid shit that, normal people do. Anyways, Nazi rules. So he did this. So he had this kid out there, and I watched the kid for 3 years grow. And it was his high school years. It was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So when he graduated, I moved on in the Army, and this kid, through the beauty of Facebook, one of the things I think Facebook for is I keep in touch with him. So now I see his kid, who I'm friends with his kid, but his kid is grown and doing all these things. But I see the things that come from that kid going out there and digging that fighting position. It's not that he's a good digger. It's not that he can count sandbags. He just has a different discipline about him. And it stems from his father. You know what I mean? And if I use that as how do I gauge what I'm doing as a father? You see what I'm saying? Do I get that from my kids? Are they going to show that example in the end? Because they're not there yet. A couple years ago, Harlan is there. He's different because I always say his mother raised him, and they raised him down south, and he is in that sense. There's a lot of me in him that just comes out. That's natural, and that's beautiful. I love that, and I'm thankful for that. But here's the but I'm sure when people look at me and then how I carry myself and it's just the things, I don't do nothing outline. I don't anymore. But I think they also look at me and think, oh, it might get out of line real quick. Or if it's going to get out of line, that's the guy. Good and bad. They look at my kids and and that's what I do. You know what I mean? If I see I see someone my age covered in tattoos, riding Harleys and just acting crazy. I want to look at them and say, wonder if they got kids and where are their kids? You know what I mean? So there's that, and some of them have a good answer. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, 8 or 9 years ago, I didn't have a good answer for where I was, but why I wasn't with my kids. I fixed all that. Real easy fix. But anyways, so we go down that road. So we're talking about this, and see, this is where we gotta get sidetracked. This is where Molly and you help me get back online. But we're talking about bringing it all back. What was I saying about the kids? See, Navi, this is where you help me. Then we're recording. Now I forgot where I was. See, I lost track, but it's all good. No, but we keep it recording, right? We can keep recording because then we can cut it if we need to. But I forget what I was talking about, so we can't do that. That's something we can't have happen. Yeah, thank you. July. Sorry, we can't be answering text messages in the middle of the thing. But how much time have we been on here? We got 30 minutes. 20 minutes. See, 20 minutes is a long time to sit there and talk by myself. But I can completely do it. Huh? Yeah. Do what? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So here we go. So now we're gonna try this to where we have two people. Right. So we're gonna bring someone else in with our technological, technological, technological,
All right, so
technological fucking things, and bring Naveed on. See, and this is the question and answer period. What can we? How can we do this?
let
Are
me
you ready?
yeah, let me think of a
I
good
can't hear you.
let me think of a good question.
Well, that's the problem. See, this is the problem when we start thinking. We need to react.
No, so
It
when
needs to
you
all
were
be
telling me
reaction.
about parents walking around with tattoos,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was
Quick
the
judgment.
first question I had
Yeah,
when I first saw you.
yeah. Like, look, who's this guy?
Yeah,
What the fuck does he think he is?
called
Yeah,
you a fucking
cholo.
broke ass cholo.
Wanna be cholo. Yeah, and I know exactly where you're coming from because I would look at this guy with a bunch of tattoos and shit
Yeah,
and saggy shorts and probably have my socks pulled up maybe, or I don't even know. But at that point, you can say, yeah, who's this guy? Like, or,
but I've watched Holden for
it's
3 years.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That, like, see,
That
that's the
parenting
beauty of
skill. Yeah,
me. Yeah. Like, and I'm, and see, and this is where it's good. This way, it comes back to the village. That's something that's very important. It takes a village, man. It takes a village. And this is Navi, and he can see this. I told this to Holden when you guys left the other night. And I'll tell you, and this is where, and this is, and I was, and I'll tell you, we're just opening it up. We're gonna be open and honest. I was just talking about Amna. I'm like, that's my niece, but look at Amna like a daughter. She's a hell of a soccer player, very smart, beautiful girl, blah, 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 blah. She's missing the social aspect, which Holden is too
yeah,
at that age.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like at 14, where Holden is 14, man, I could tell you I had girls' numbers. I was talking to different girls at night. I'd have one on one line. I'd have my dude call the other one, tell her I was on doing some stuff. I had Holden's not that any kind of way that way. I think he's got a little internet girlfriend that lives far away that he plays a game with because Jackson let the cat out of the bag. But that's it. But I'll tell you, the other day I was like, not that I worry about Amna. No, no, no. She's gonna have plenty of social aspect. I think with the way she plays soccer and the way what we do with our kids in soccer, we replace a lot of that. Our kids don't know it. They don't know it in the moment. They don't, but by her dealing with the stuff she deals with at soccer, and that's another thing we got to watch what we say because we can't bring out, but she deals with a lot of issues, cattiness and stuff like that. A lot of different levels of maturity that most kids, if they're lucky, get it in school. We pay a lot of money for them to learn a lot of lessons, not just how to kick a soccer ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Uh, so and it's like I tell Holden, Holden, like you said, he's a smart kid, he's a talented soccer player, he's this and that, but he's kind of antisocial. If he does,
He's a
yeah,
good
yeah, oh,
kid
he's a
though.
good kid, yo, great kid, but he does, you know what I mean? What's it to you? What's it to you? It's like I say, Amna's she's your cousin. We are family. We've said we're family. So when you see her, you got to say hello to her.
Yeah.
She knows. We ain't gonna. I know you don't have no problem.
It's an awkwardness.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. You have to be the one. This is what I'm teaching him. You have to be the one. When you see Amna, say hello to her.
Yeah.
When you see her, and it's not when we're at the house. When we're at soccer.
Yeah.
When normally you learn these lessons in the village when you walk down the street. We're not in a village no more. We live too far away. So our kids can't learn that. So we got to teach them. How do I teach it? I teach him to say hi to the people we know and love, whoever it is, and give it to our soccer club. They do the same thing. They want our kids to say hello to the coaches. They don't want the coaches to say hello to the parents. They want those kids, what we're paying money for, to develop those relationships. So I go into that saying that, and I said, and in turn, what does that do? Not only do you show that between each other, but you're showing everybody else. Those little catty girls are gonna wonder, why do you have this? Why do you have this? Why is he, that guy,
Yeah.
saying hello to you? Oh, that's my family. And a question, right? Now it's on them kids to determine what family means.
And that's a funny word.
We know what family means. Jenny knows what family means. We all know what family means. The ones that can't interpret family the same we interpret family have a problem with that. But where it helps is when that kid is saying, "Hey, Amna," and I'm gonna say, "Hey, man." Guess what? They think it's something different.
Yeah.
They think, "Oh, that's the cool guy? Why is it? Oh, why is she?" They want to answer those questions. We let them answer themselves. That's what I learned. I let all the talk and the chatter happen behind me. I know what I know, and I keep that in line. You know what I mean? Just like Holden Amna. Every time Holden walks by Amna and ever has, that's Amna. That's my family. What do we do outwardly to recognize that? Nothing, other than we're always together and stuff like that. Look, little boy, son, like I told him last time, next time you see her, you say hello to her, just like these little ones, just like him. It reciprocates. It's important. I don't know, you know what I mean? And it makes you feel good. And why wouldn't you do that? That's the least you can do. So that's how I'm trying to teach him that. That's the thing that the village taught us, that the village, and I see it at home, that the village lessons that the village has I taught us aren't
You're
being taught because we're extending ourselves. We're putting the village out on the internet. We're putting the village in videos. We're putting uh, I have a huge problem. I have a huge problem with it, and there's a whole society out there of people that will sit here and have a conversation like me and you are having a conversation, and because it's so easy, they will get on their phone as we're speaking and check every word that comes out of my mouth. And I'm not having a conversation with you so that you can check my words. I'm trying to develop a relationship. And that's the difference. We've turned each other against each other just in normal conversation. You know what I mean? You and I don't do that. You know what I mean? We've had disagreements and we just say, "Hey, you're wrong," or "You're
some
right."
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I haven't done research to tell you why you were wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you haven't done the research to tell me why you were right. It's just what it is, and then we leave it at that. If it's something important, I think we'd go to it, but it's never been that. But we could go do the research. There's too many people doing the research off the jump. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about it's not necessarily about like what the topic of the conversation is in the moment. It's how we're treating each other, conversing. It's how we're communicating.
It's
So
okay to disagree
it's
and
okay to
have a
disagree.
different
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Oh, 100%. Fuck. Yeah, it has to be. Jeez. Like if I did, if people like listen, the world is good. I know the world is good because many people disagree with me.
Listen, there's
Because
there
if I went with if we go with what I'm fixing the world with, we're in big trouble, buddy.
there
Big
there have
trouble.
been times where you're talking
Mhm,
and I'm listening
mhm.
and I'll just say, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah,
And I know there's times where I'm talking
yeah, yeah,
and you're listening to me
yeah.
going, "Yeah, whatever."
That's what this
That's it.
podcast is about. This podcast is gonna about people, "Oh my god, he's at it again."
Yeah.
But hopefully, there's gonna be one or two. There's gonna be one or two that listens to the right thing that comes out of somebody's mouth over the airways, and it's gonna be the one, and that's gonna make it worth it. You know what I mean? Because
What
YouTube, they flooded YouTube, and we are way too late on YouTube and all that other bullshit to where we make a bunch of money and drive Ferraris, and people sponsor us to go out there and make people's lives better by handing them money or sending them to Aruba or taking their family on a trip or whatever. We're going from soup to nuts. We're going from the bottom floor up. We are literally coming out of your basement, Navid, right now. I think Molly took a picture. We're coming out of the basement with
Yeah.
this. Um, and that's good because there's gonna be lessons learned in this, even in this little venture. You know what I mean? So many people, I have no doubt in my mind that I can hook up a microphone and talk into it for 30 minutes, hour and a half, three freaking, see, how am I doing better? 3 freaking hours, 2 or 3 times a week at least, if not every day. I'm not gonna put that out there just because, you know what I mean? Some days I shower and that takes a lot out of me and gotta go to the dispenser. But listen to me, like literally, I could do it and I could do it for free and not make a dime. And because I know there's hours of the day I sit by myself at home doing this thinking, this is gonna be me thinking out loud and hopefully organized thinking. You know what I mean?
Well,
With organize.
the hope is with all these conversations, you transfer some of that old knowledge.
Right. Oh yeah, for
Some of
sure.
those codes, some of the
Yeah.
rules
Well, maybe
for
the
someone
yeah.
younger that isn't getting it because
Right,
they're
right.
on
Because
social
a lot
media
of
and
them are
all that.
heavy subjects, and if you go straight to the subject on it, then it's too much. It's too much. Let's talk about LGBTQSZ, all them letters. Let's talk about those rights. If we start the conversation like that, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
It can't be good. But if we pick it apart, if we take it down to the bottom level, or even pick out one instance of it, how do we go about dealing with the bathroom situation?
Mhm.
Just, you know what I mean? We're not gonna solve LGBTQ problems and rights and all that stuff.
No.
I mean, and personally, we aren't gonna touch any of those subjects in this. But we can put out a perspective that maybe will help someone see it in a different light that helps them, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. Everybody should have a right in this country that we call free. Everybody should have the right to go to the bathroom and go to the bathroom in public. And go to the bathroom in public within the parameters of the laws created. So the laws in land, our free land say, hey man, if you're in public, you got to use a restroom. So you got to use a restroom to pee, whatever you got to do, da 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 da. So me as a heterosexual male has to be able to go pee. Me as a heterosexual female has to be able to pee. Me as a lesbian female or a gay male has to be able to go pee, right? Um, so the problem arises from when the lesbian female who uh maybe feels more masculine wants to go use the male restroom designated for standers to pee in. We'll just break it down that way to make it simple for our listeners. You got people that stand up and pee and you got people that sit down to pee. Right?
That's it.
That's it. Yep. It doesn't get more complicated than that. The complication has arisen from those sitting down wanting to stand up to pee and those standing up to pee wanting to sit down, which is okay too in the privacy of your bathroom.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you shut the door. Guess what? In real life, my son, my dad, everybody who lives in the house doesn't know if I'm peeing, standing up, or sitting down when I go on the bathroom. I was taught as a young man, I promise you, to sit when I pooped and to pee when I stood up. But I was also taught that I could poo and pee at the same time sitting down.
Stand when you pee. You said
Stand, well, you know what I
pee
meant. You
when
know what I see. That's why you fact checking. See, that'd come back to haunt me. But that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like the reality of it is we don't know, and we still don't know. Yet we're making it everybody's business. You know what I mean? Guess what? If I wouldn't have discussed my sexuality before I walked into a bathroom, no one would have had a problem with it. Now, because I'm a gay male going into a male bathroom because of my sexuality, people are going to have an issue. Even if I'm a gay male going into a female bathroom, people are going to have a problem with it because of my sexuality. It's because of my sexuality. It's not because it's a male or female bathroom, or if it's a bisexual or a genderless, gender free, whatever the fuck you call it, bathroom. The
Yeah, but
problem is not what it is not. It's the problem is they want to label shit that don't need to be labeled.
yeah, but it's also perspective.
Yeah.
Like I, as a father of a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old girl, I might have a different perspective.
You should.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want some grown ass man walking in the bathroom with your 14-year-old daughter to when she's going to pee in a public restroom. I understand that.
Not that a female wouldn't do, like
Right? Yeah.
the
Yeah.
danger's all
yeah,
there.
An
I'm just
adult
saying it's a
female.
different
It's a
perspective.
different perspective.
And you
The
might have a
risk is
different
the
perspective.
risk is still the same. You know, do you let your kid go pee in public? You know what I mean? The risk of it should still be the same.
Mhm.
The risk of it is some adult or somebody, anybody, it doesn't have to be an adult, somebody going in there and causing harm to your child. That should be the only fear. Now they're trying to make, the fear should be whether or not someone's a different sex or something like that, or because they're going to change the rules. Now we're letting child. No, those predators would have went in there anyways. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. It comes down to, and it's not even a conversation. Like we're going to upset people with just these conversations.
We are.
Yeah, that's good though, because it's not a conversation worth getting upset about. You know what I mean? Like people,
Because people have
yeah,
they're
it,
so extreme on both sides,
so
and
ready, and like I can't wait
they're
for all the
married.
Google warriors. Like everybody's gonna Google everything I say and come back and say, "Oh my God, Noodles, you were wrong on this because I
People
Googled
are
you."
married to one opinion or another.
I know, I love it.
They're not open to,
Yeah,
and so
and
so
that's the be and like in the Navi, this is something, and anybody that's gone back for me for years, even in my military career, what I did really well at, just in my relationships with people, in the motorcycle club thing, and the hot dog, all these things I've done. You know what I mean? People have always said, "Man, man, man, Noodles, Jason, whatever they called me at the time." You know what I mean? This is your thing. This is your thing. This is your thing. It was never the thing. It was always me. You know what I mean? It was always this is what I bring a little bit of motivation, a little bit of spunk, and a little bit of spice to any situation. That's what I bring. You know what I mean? Because of that, it's put me in situations and around people that if I wasn't that way, I wouldn't get to be. I wouldn't have got to talk to those people.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? They would have never said, "Hey, you got to meet this guy Noodles." You know what I mean? To this person or that person, which led to conversations that was nothing about what people thought they were about. Then we got, and that's what I think the beauty of this is. When you're talking to a boss of an outlaw motorcycle club about how to build a trailer for his son that's coming home from Iraq, that was a Marine that got all dicked up and stuff like that. That's what I learned. That's what I took away from those situations. People think, oh, you took away all the fights and all the drinking and drugging and all. No, man, that stuff was the garbage. That was the stuff that, unfortunately came with the program. You know what I mean? You get the good with the bad. I was blessed to go skip a lot of the BS because of my military stuff and my background and people having somewhat respect for me to not put up with the dumb stuff and then get to where I had these conversations. But I promise I made the best friends and some of them just so happened to be at the top of different organizations. But it came from the conversations, these
Video is full.
conversations. And we filled up the video, got plenty of stuff. Cheers. We're done. We're going to talk about other stuff.